Trust and truth. Overcoming the problem of greenwashing.
One of the biggest challenges that you face if you actually are doing good is that it's very easy for your competitors, for others in that same sector, to be declaring their ambition but not be taking that same often costly action. So there's enormous onus on governments, on firms, especially leading firms, to try and ensure that it's not just about talking the talk, but walking the walk. So I'm David Reiner, I'm Professor of Technology Policy here at CJBS, and I'm also Assistant Director of our Energy Policy Research Group. To actually address greenwashing, the only way you can do it is with both carrots and sticks. So you need the Advertising Standards Agency or the Financial Conduct Authority coming in and disciplining firms that are exaggerating or making claims that don't bear scrutiny. On the other hand, we actually need to be able to reward those firms that are sometimes at great cost, changing the way they do business, changing their practices. So the real challenge is that it's not usually that easy to identify greenwashing. You can have a very glitzy ad campaign that makes people feel like or think that there's something happening. The only way often is through good investigative journalism, kind of the hard work that a regulatory agency will have to do, and that might take months or even years. So just in the last 5 years, we've seen many of the financial services agencies kind of pushing back on claims about ESG that firms might be using. Because in many ways it's fraud, lying to potential investors. And so I think the regulatory agencies have been much more attuned to the issues than they were in the past. At the European Union level, we've seen a lot of kind of new legislation, new regulations that are trying to hold firms to account for some of the claims that they've been making. I think the biggest problem is that firms that are that are putting the effort in and putting the cost in to change their practices aren't being rewarded, because it's difficult sometimes for the consumer to be able to identify the genuinely greener product. So I think the problem, is the kind of wider, more pervasive erosion of trust. How do we avoid the situation that we've seen, for example, in the oil and gas sector, where you have multiple rounds of promises that never amount to anything? Net zero needs to have everybody come on board. To get everybody, all consumers, all firms on board is virtually impossible unless we can really have almost a rebuilding of the trust that has been kind of eroded over the past years.